It's Wednesday, April 6. In the headlines, major crimes down in Jamaica. Prime Minister Holness defends Jamaica's decision to nominate Senator Camilla Johnson-Smith for Commonwealth Secretary General, and another call for Bob Marley to be named national hero. Regionally, officials in Barbados are investigating the possible presence of a new COVID-19 variant. And in sports, Errol Messias takes over as head coach at Calabar High. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Simone Absalom Gill. There has been an 8.5% decrease in major crimes since the start of the year. Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson shared the news at a virtual press conference on Tuesday.
As of March the 31st, murder was down 3%, with shootings down 16%. When we examine the number of homicides since the start of the year, we continue to see approximately 71% of them attributed to gang violence and 16% to interpersonal disputes.
He says there is an uptick in public cooperation with information sharing for the seizure of illegal guns.
The JCF, in partnership with other law enforcement agencies, seized 223 illegal firearms, compared with 195 at this point in 2021. Included in this year's figures are 37 high-powered rifles and 154 semi-automatic pistols. We would like to thank the public for responding positively to our campaigns that have sought to remove the stigma from sharing information with the police. Statistics from Crime Stop reveal that there has been a 97% increase in tips from the public when compared to the same period in 2021.
Meanwhile, the police commissioner says the western end of the island, Police Area 1, is still a major concern.
Police Area 1 is our main concern, which currently accounts for about 35% of the nation's murders this year. In the past week, we have had to pivot and initiate a series of operations across western Jamaica. Based on analysis, we expect to see a quelling of this negative trend in this quarter. That is between now, April to June.
The police chief reminded Jamaicans that harboring family members or friends who are criminals puts their personal safety at great risk, using the shocking killing of the lead vocalist of the Mighty Diamonds, Donald "Tabby Diamond" Shaw, as an example.
We saw this play out in the unfortunate shooting of 5 persons, 2 of whom died, including reggae icon Donald "Tabby Diamond" Shaw in Olympic Gardens on March the 29th. The very sad story is that one of his sons is a known violence producer, currently detained on a murder charge, and preliminary investigations suggest that the death of Tabby Diamond was directly related to the activities of his son.
Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson says the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF, will be providing no cover for its members who are involved in criminal activities.
It damages the work of the honest, dedicated police officers and the reputation of the force. The investigation is ongoing, and further developments will be continued in our press briefings as we go along.
The police commissioner was alluding to the recent arrest of several members of the JCF, allegedly due to their ties to gang activity. He says based on investigations, the charges are linked to extortion, robbery, and murder.
There is absolutely no excuse for any police officer to get involved in this. And remuneration has nothing to do with this criminal activity whatsoever. They are criminals. And in their criminal endeavors, more than likely they'll make more money than we can ever pay them. We have many officers who they all get the same pay at the same levels. And vast majority of our officers do not descend to get involved in criminal and corrupt activities.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness has defended his country's position to nominate current Minister of Foreign Trade and Foreign Affairs Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith for the post of Secretary General of the Commonwealth. He addressed the matter in Parliament on Tuesday. Gabriel Thompson reports.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says there has been a strong push to find an alternative to the incumbent Baroness Patricia Scotland.
Several countries, including Jamaica, were approached regarding the possibility of nominating a candidate for the post. Jamaica took the view at that time that whatever the issues that gave impetus to members seeking alternative candidates, the first order of response would be to resolve with dialogue to avoid disruption. It is clear that the impetus to seek an alternative candidate strongly persists. Since then, Kenya nominated a candidate and then subsequently withdrew. And today, Tuvalu formally launched its candidature in London. And it is quite possible that others could emerge. We can conclude that the first term of the incumbent has left room for challenge.
He notes that there has been strong support to put forward a candidate, and more so in the choice of Kamina Johnson-Smith. Alluding to discussions querying if he as Prime Minister spoke to his counterparts within Caricom, Mr. Holness had this to say.
I considered it important to engage in a process of consultation, starting with colleagues in Caricom, to seek a better understanding of their thinking about the leadership of the organization, as well as their views on Minister Johnson-Smith's possible candidature. Madam Speaker, with very limited exceptions, the responses of the heads of government and heads of state, as well as foreign ministers with whom we engaged across regions, have been extremely encouraging. With several of them voluntarily committing to seek support for the candidature from their regional colleagues.
Meanwhile, Caricom heads of government will meet today, Wednesday, April 6, to discuss the matter. Mr. Holness had words for those who saw this move as a slap in the face of Caricom.
We can unequivocally say that heads are aware that there has never been a unanimous position of support for the incumbent. Caricom member states have even previously raised the question as to whether we should seek to identify an alternative Caribbean candidate. We believe that Jamaica's candidature, a Caribbean candidate, is good for the region and the wider Commonwealth. Against this background, there is no need to position our decision as controversial or divisive. It is never Jamaica's intention to seek to divide our Caricom family.
The Prime Minister explains that the visit of the President of Rwanda, who will soon be chairman of the Commonwealth Heads of Government, has nothing to do with Jamaica's nomination of Mrs. Johnson-Smith.
Madam Speaker, in 2019, I invited President Kagame to visit in April of 2020. However, the pandemic delayed these plans, which were revived in September last year for the President to visit Jamaica next Wednesday. There is absolutely no correlation between Minister Johnson-Smith's candidacy and the state visit of President Kagame. we look forward to hosting the leader of one of the most progressive countries on the African continent.
Mr. Holness says he will not put forward any discussions on the matter during the president's stay in Jamaica. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
Opposition leader Mark Golding also weighed in on the matter, stating that while Senator Johnson Smith is qualified and has the experience to carry out the duties of Secretary General of the Commonwealth, unity in the region must be protected.
We see Caricom unity and solidarity, especially in the area of international relations and foreign and trade policy, as in our vital interests, as a group of small, vulnerable, developing countries who share a common history and many common challenges. Solidarity and unity among the region has to be nurtured, respected, and protected. The manner and context of the recent announcement of Jamaica's decision to put up a candidate as Secretary General of the Commonwealth has created a very messy and undesirable situation.
The final decision is to be made during the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which will take place this year from June 20 to June 25 in Rwanda. Jamaica is regarded as one of the world's fastest recovering countries and the Caribbean's fastest growing tourist destination. That's the word from Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett. He made the announcement as he opened the 2022-2023 sectoral debate in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, April 5. The minister credits the achievement to the excellent tactics and policies that the government put in place to contain the coronavirus.
The tourism sector, and more specifically hotels and restaurants, recorded 3 solid quarters of consecutive growth for the fiscal year 21-22. And I'm sure we are, when the results come out for the last quarter, the 4th quarter, we will show that tourism has recorded 4 consecutive quarters of growth. And just for the record, the 1st quarter, April to June, tourism grew by 334.6%. July to September, 114.6%. October to December, 76.2%. And the projections that we have, which are not yet official, and PIOJ will no doubt come with that, is going to show that we are in high double-digit growth again for the 4th quarter.
Minister Bartlett touted that current numbers for arrivals and projections for the end of 2022 are good.
In the first 3 months, we have seen over 480,000 stopover and cruise visitors, with weekend after weekend of record arrivals in the last few weeks. This should see, Madam Speaker, the closing of the first 4 months, which is our traditional tourist season, with 925,000 stopover arrivals and cruise, and for the country to earn $1.17 billion within that period. I'm pleased to say that we're expecting to close 2022 with total visitor arrival of 2.92 million for a total revenue of 3.58 billion. And Madam Speaker, it's important to recognize the value of this earning, because if you recall, when the pandemic hit, we had earned 3.7 billion, and that was the highest peak in our earning. In this first year of recovery, we are now projecting to be 3.58 billion, just under 200 million shy of our best performance ever.
Member of Parliament for St. Anne South East, Lisa Hanna, wants Jamaica's reggae icon, Robert Nestor Bob Marley, to be named a national hero. She moved a motion Tuesday afternoon in the House of Representatives.
Be it resolved that this honorable House, in Jamaica's 60th year of independence, call upon the Governor-General to take the necessary steps for the national honor of Order of National Hero to be conferred on the International Crusader for Peace love, and equality, a global superstar, the Honourable Robert Nesta Bob Marley.
The Member of Parliament says Bob Marley should be named the 8th National Hero of Jamaica, describing him as a global icon of peace, freedom, and love. She says his contribution as a poet, Africanist, and nationalist has already made him a global hero.
And whereas Bob Marley's One Love, which has been translated into almost every language worldwide, was named the Song of the Millennium, and his 1977 Exodus, the best album of the 20th century. And whereas Bob Marley's kindness, selfless example, and courageous work to empower disenfranchised Black people and other people of color around the world earned him the United Nations Peace Medal of the Third World on behalf of 500 million Africans in 1978.
In December 2021, Opposition Senator Floyd Morris tabled a motion in the Senate for Bob Marley, Jimmy Cliff, Louise Bennett Coverley, and Usain Bolt to be named national heroes ahead of Jamaica's Diamond Independence celebrations this year. Last November, Barbados named singer Rihanna a national hero. The Ministry of Justice has launched the Alternative Dispute Resolution, ADR, public education campaign. The ministry hopes the campaign will teach Jamaicans methods to settle conflicts peacefully. Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck explains the rollout plan for ADR.
And what we intend to do from the Ministry of Justice is to take ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolutions, across the schools, the churches, communities, and in doing so, we want to sensitize the citizens of this country that where they see disputes or have disputes, refer matters to ADR.
Approximately $100 million is being provided through the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service to fund the initiative, as well as other restorative justice activities. ADR programs offered through the ministry include restorative justice, child diversion, mediation, and victim support services. He touted the success of alternative dispute resolution and encouraged Jamaicans to use the system.
What we know is that when matters are referred to restorative justice, in over 80% of the cases, there's a settlement, there's a healing. There are many stories to be told, thousands of stories to be told, of how parties in dispute have been able to restore their relationship.
While also highlighting the success of the child diversion program, Minister Chuck stressed that mentors are ready and willing to help young wayward children.
The challenge right now for the child diversion is to have more referrals. Can you imagine? In other words, we have an average of 30 mentors in every parish who are now underutilized to assist wayward youngsters who get into trouble. And so we will be going into the schools, encouraging the police and the courts to refer more of these youngsters who get into trouble to counseling, to the child diversion officer, to engage mentors to assist these youngsters.
Meanwhile, he says the pilot mediation program, which was used in the parish courts, has yielded positive results. Under the program, the ministry offsets the cost for persons who were unable to pay for the services. He says 84 cases were referred by the courts for payment by the ministry.
And of the 84, 61 of them reached an agreement. 17, no agreement, so it will go back to the court to be decided. And 6 have asked for extra time to see if they can reach an agreement. Now, so far, 73% is a success story on any measure.
In the business report, we look at the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on local artisans in Trinidad and Tobago. We also have the usual market update with Danita Rodney.
In foreign exchange trading for Tuesday, April 5, the US dollar sold for an average of $154.55. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $124.94. The pound sterling traded for $202.03, and the euro sold for an average of $173.39. The following reflects the movement of the JSE indices in Tuesday's trading session. The JSE index advanced by 1,248 points to close at over 300,000 units. The junior market index declined by 27 points to close at over 4,000 units. The combined market index advanced by 923 points to close at over 400,000 units, and the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by 1,252 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 111 stocks, of which 42 advanced, 53 declined, and 16 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 1834 Investments Limited, Blue Power Group Limited, and CAC 2000 9.5% cumulative redeemable preference shares. Stocks declined for Access Financial Services Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Barita Investments Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Community and Workers of Jamaica CCU Deferred Share, and 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Variable Preference. Mayberry Jamaican Equities Limited was the volume leader with over 100 million units, followed by Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with over 5 million units, and Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 3 million units. In regional stocks, on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, Clico Investment Fund was the volume leader trading over 99,000 shares, followed by Calypso Macro Index Fund with 717 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Government of Barbados Bond Series B was the volume leader with over 131,000 shares, followed by Epley Caribbean Property Fund Development Fund with over 7,000 shares, and Barbados Farms Limited with over 2,000 shares. The pandemic has had mixed effects on local artisans in Trinidad and Tobago. While some were pushed to the brink of the abyss, others were able to grow and expand. More from TTT's Live Business Insight.
The cottage at the Radisson Hotel is a hub for dozens of local artisans. The space provides an opportunity for these craftsmen and women to display their work. But the COVID-19 virus and the 2-year pandemic has left some wilting while others bloom.
I was a regular member of Upmarket once a month. But since the COVID and since they've started back, I have not started back with them because I thought I'd just keep away from the crowd. So I have not started to go to the open markets anymore.
Nora Daniel has been creating ceramic wares since 1984.
I base my stuff on local flora and fauna. I use big leaves and turn them into bowls. I use big leaves and make them into plates and saucers, And then I use all the coconut, the breadfruit, the whatever, and turn them into teapots and cups and so.
Miss Daniel notes her dishes are safe to eat and drink in as the glazes used are lead-free. Another artisan, Cindy Ann Phillips, says the pandemic has positively impacted her body care line.
COVID-19 actually saw my business grow because it was last year that I got my stuff into the cottage. It was last year that I got my stuff into excellent stores.
Ms. Phillips says she sources all her ingredients and containers from other local entrepreneurs.
All the products are natural, mostly natural. When I say mostly natural, we do have fragrance included. The fragrances that we use would be essential oils, and if we do other types of fragrances, they don't have like harmful chemicals like phthalates and stuff like that, which are known to be hormone disruptors. We don't include that. Our body butters, you can say are basically 100% natural, down to the preservative that we use is eco-certified.
This young business owner adds she is working toward becoming a fully certified skincare formulator. I am Terry Ann Brown Campbell with your TTT News Business Insight feature.
In market data for oil futures rose on Wednesday as the threat of new sanctions on Russia raised supply concerns, countering fears of weaker demand following a build in U.S. crude stockpiles and Shanghai's extended lockdown. Brent crude was up $1.14 or 1.1% at $107.78 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude futures climbed $1.42 or 1.4% to $103.38 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Denida Rodney.
In regional news, health officials are investigating the possibility of a new COVID-19 variant in Barbados, as the island has been cautioned to brace for a further spike in cases in the coming days.
We do expect that we will have a slight increase in cases, but certainly not to the extent where we will possibly overwhelm our system. So far, all of our data, if we happen to have BA2 on the ground, which that has not been confirmed as yet, does continue to suggest that BA2 is more transmissible, so the possibility of getting it is increased. But certainly in terms of severity, has not been proven to be as severe, for instance, as Delta. So we need to still continue to monitor persons. We are in the process of, as I said, investigating what we actually have on the ground so that we can better inform the public.
Also in Barbados, operators of public service vehicles and taxis should expect relief from the spiraling fuel costs. Barbados Today has the details.
Relief is on the way for operators of public service vehicles and taxis who have been pressing government to shield their businesses from spiraling fuel costs. Energy Minister Kerry Simmons says Deputy Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw held talks with key players as recently as last week, and he's optimistic they are nearing a solution.
We had a report on the matter given to us at Cabinet on Thursday. We are in the process of concluding the discussions with the taxi and PSV operators, and we will very shortly form a compact between government and those operators with a view to making sure that there's a commonality of purpose on the way forward. I don't want to get into the specifics of that compact yet because that really would be a little bit premature. It has to be finally approved by Cabinet, but just sit tight. We're working on it actively.
On Tuesday, the Caribbean Examination Council CXC announced the launch of its Digital Intelligence Gateway online program. According to the chairman of CXC, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, the platform is expected to inform decision-making for educational policy and development. Mahala Joseph Wharton has more.
Chairman of the Caribbean Examinations Council, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, said the platform will give ministries of education in the region self-service access to the information they may require.
This information can include statistics on ESBAs, registrations, and results. There's also a category for CXC statistical digests. As the platform is rolled out, new categories can be added based on the needs of stakeholders.
He said the gateway represents the digital transformation of the Council's examinations performance data and is designed to provide stakeholders with access to relevant and meaningful information for research, policy development, and educational impact assessment. Minister of Education Dr. Nian Gadsby-Dolly said many aspects of life have changed completely and digital technologies are central to this transformation.
The changes to how we teach, we learn, communicate, bank, even how we are entertained, are viewed widely as irrevocable. We are not the same people after the COVID experience, not the same societies, and this is simply not the same world.
She said millennials and centennials demand a different lifestyle, and it's up to the policymakers, administrators and educators of today to prepare the centennials in the primary and secondary level for jobs that do not yet exist.
Laggards of the baby boomers and Generation X, some of us, have tried in vain to resist this wave of change. But the time left for holding on to the old ways is gone. And this initiative of the CXC provides a lead in the region, and we must support and follow.
The minister said the policies and systems that served us prior to the COVID-19 pandemic must change along with our world. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TTT News.
In St. Vincent, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has announced that funding cutbacks by the Trinidad government will force the government to pay more to the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center. Here's more in this report.
I expect that we'll have to pay more for a subscription because the government of Trinidad and Tobago cut their contribution by 60% from 5 million TT dollars to 2 million. Because the SRC is funded centrally through the Office of the Vice Chancellor. And while the government of Trinidad and Tobago have been advised, has maintained or even increased the contribution for St. Augustine proper, that those which are centrally funded, like the Seismic Research Center, they have cut back. And this is very important to us. And if we have to put in more money, so be it, because we see its importance to us. 10 institutions, regional institutions, which are vital to us, which introduce a law called the Automaticity of Financing Act. Regional institutions automaticity of financing. So that once we make the budget number, put the budget number, it is the duty of the Director General and the Accountant General to make sure that that amount is not delivered on a voluntary basis for these 10 institutions, and SRC is one of them, but to be paid whether on a monthly or quarterly basis, however they want to pay the money, but to make sure that the financing is automatic so that we don't starve the institution of resources which we are supposed to put to it to help to protect us. Without NEMO, none of this could have been done. And even though NEMO functions well, we are in the process of looking at the structure of NEMO and looking to see how we can revamp the legislation itself to see if we can strengthen NEMO further. Because every time you do something and you see limitations or weaknesses, you have to try and lift it more and more.
In sports, former intersecondary boys champions Calabar High has a new man in charge for the 2022 ISA Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championships. Veteran head coach Michael Clark has stepped down and made way for Errol Messias to assume the role. The health challenges have been cited for this decision. Calabar, who won their first title in 1930, has topped boys champs 27 times. Only Kingston College, with 32 titles, has one more. They also have the second largest winning streak with 7 straight victories between 2012 and 2018. Second behind fierce rivals Kingston College with a winning streak of 14 championship successes stretching from 1962 to 1975. And in other sporting news, West Indies white ball captain Kieran Pollard has been snapped up by London Spirit as their #1 pick for the second edition of the 100 starting in August. The 34-year-old is one of 4 former and current West Indies stars selected at the top price of £125,000 British pounds sterling, with all-rounder Andre Russell headed to Manchester Originals, off-spinner Sunil Narayan returning to Oval Invincibles, and retired 2020 star Dwayne Bravo picked up by Northern Superchargers. However, there are fears Pollard might miss the majority of the August 3 to September 3 campaign due to international commitments and Caribbean Premier League obligations. Veteran former West Indies batsman Chris Gayle was ignored, along with the likes of Nicholas Pooran, Australian David Warner and Pakistan maestro Babar Azam. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks for watching.